The 5th season premiere of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch opens with a tension so thick it's almost suffocating. The camera doesn't glide over the Utah desert as much as it trembles, as if even the lens feels the pressure of what's buried beneath. Fans have long associated the Olinda's property with high-stakes exploration and eerie discoveries, but this time the claustrophobia isn't just underground. It seeps into every corner of the show. The episode draws its power not from spectacle, but from atmosphere. The dust, the darkness, and the growing sense that the team is descending into something that wants to swallow them whole. Descent begins from the first moments. The premiere wastes no time reminding viewers that Blind Frog Ranch is less a dig site than a living organism. The team's excavation tunnel, carved deep into the earth over multiple seasons, feels more menacing than ever. The echo of metal against stone becomes a kind of heartbeat, steady, anxious, alive. The lighting is dimmer, the air more humid, and the sense of space far tighter. Even veteran explorer Duane Ollinger seems uneasy as the crew forces itself deeper into an underground passage that looks newly unstable. The claustrophobia works on 2 levels. Visually, it's the literal confinement of crawling through earth that's collapsing in on itself. Emotionally, it's the awareness that after years of searching, the treasure may finally be close, and that truth terrifies more than failure. Every step is careful, every sound amplified, and the audience can almost feel the temperature drop. The unseen pressure season 5 trades grand theories for intimate tension. There are no sweeping drone shots or wide-angle vistas here, only tight close-ups of eyes, darting, hands trembling, dust motes swirling in flashlight beams. The camera lingers too long on shadows, letting the imagination fill the gaps. What if something down there breathes back? Fear doesn't come from monsters or curses, but from the simple human dread of being trapped. When the team's radio signal cuts out, the silence that follows lasts seconds but feels eternal. Fans online described holding their breath along with the crew, as if their living rooms had shrunk into the tunnels. The sequence captures the primal terror that underlies exploration, the need to know, warring with the instinct to flee. Chad's uneasy instinct, Chad Ollinger, usually the stabilizing presence beside his father, is visibly shaken this episode. He's the one who senses something off before anyone else. His breathing quickens in the dark. He keeps glancing over his shoulder, muttering half-heard warnings that feel like echoes of earlier disasters. The claustrophobia here isn't only environmental, it's psychological. The walls may be closing in, but so are the doubts. The relationship between Chad and Duane becomes another source of tension. The tunnel represents both their shared dream and their shared curse. They've dug for years, chased theories across ancient maps and chemical readings, and risked everything for a promise buried in rock. Now, as the oxygen thins and the beams creak, that dream feels less like destiny and more like obsession. An ominous discovery halfway through the premiere. A new chamber appears on their scans, a void hidden beneath a thick layer of sediment, shaped unnaturally smooth. The excitement is short-lived. The air quality drops immediately after they breach the passage. Sensors blare warnings, the lights flicker, and the crew debates retreat. The claustrophobia spikes here, not just because the chamber might collapse, but because the show makes the viewer complicit. The camera switches to helmet cams, showing narrow beams of light slicing through choking dust. There's nowhere to look but forward. The chamber itself is a riddle. Metallic residue coats the walls, reflecting dim light like wet skin. Duane believes it's a clue, evidence of an ancient mining operation or hidden vault. Eric Drummond, the team's geologist, disagrees. The formation is too smooth, too deliberate, and gives off faint radiation. The debate unfolds in whispers, every sound muffled by heavy breathing and dripping water. The return of the masked man, when the pressure feels unbearable, the mystery escalates. Security footage from the surface catches a figure near the tunnel entrance. Tall, motionless, wearing a mask that resembles the one seen in last season's cliffhanger. The masked man, once dismissed as a prankster or hallucination, is suddenly real again. The crew above ground rushes to investigate, their flashlights slicing through darkness that seems thicker than before. The parallel between above and below creates a visual duality: confinement underground, uncertainty on the surface. The ranch becomes a stage where fear performs in two acts. Inside the tunnel, the crew gasps for air. Outside, the team searches for a phantom. Viewers at home feel pinned between both worlds, unsure which is more dangerous. Isolation as a character what makes the episode so suffocating isn't just the physical tightness of the tunnels, but the isolation it creates. Blind Frog Ranch has always been remote, yet this time the distance feels existential. Every radio glitch, every echo, reminds the audience that help is miles away. The vast desert that once symbolized freedom now reads as a cage without walls. Even the landscape seems to conspire against them. Storm clouds roll in, cutting off daylight. The ranch's ponds shimmer oddly, as though reflecting not the sky, but something beneath. Animals go silent. The world above mirrors the tension below, tightening its grip around the explorers who dared to wake its secret. The Weight of History Season 5 also delves deeper into the ranch's lore. References to Aztec connections, lost expeditions, and magnetic anomalies reemerge, but with a darker undertone. Instead of fueling adventure, these legends feel like warnings ignored. The Oliver's quest has always balanced curiosity and danger, but the premiere reframes it as a burden passed through generations. The claustrophobia becomes metaphorical. They are trapped not by tunnels, but by the weight of inherited mystery. Old journal pages surface, covered in codes describing the chamber of breathless stone. The phrase repeats like an omen, and the team realizes they may be standing inside that very chamber. The find electrifies Duane, but horrifies the others. For every hint of treasure, there's a reminder that the cost may be irreversible. A sudden collapse near the episode's climax, the crew attempts to extract a core sample from the chamber wall. The drill's vibration triggers a tremor, small at first, then violent. Dust fills the air. Visibility drops to inches. The camera spins, chaotic but intimate, trapping the viewer inside the panic. Duane's voice, distorted through static, orders evacuation. The narrow crawl space becomes a death trap. When they finally burst back into open air, coughing and drenched in sweat, the contrast between confinement and freedom feels immense. Yet the relief is brief. The masked man's footprints are fresh near the tunnel mouth, vanishing into the sagebrush. Whatever is happening underground may not be the only danger anymore. The aftermath, the final minutes, slow everything down. The team gathers under a darkening sky, their faces pale under floodlights. There's no triumphant music, no celebration of discovery, only exhaustion. The tunnel has collapsed behind them, sealing whatever lies within. Duane stares at the ground, torn between rage and wonder. The claustrophobia hasn't lifted. It's evolved into something quieter, psychological, a realization that they might never truly escape the ranch's grip. Fans online reacted with visceral unease. Social media threads described the episode as the most physically intense in the series, with some viewers confessing they had to pause just to breathe. Others praised the cinematography, calling it a masterclass in sensory tension. The production team managed to turn the limitations of space into a storytelling weapon. Beyond the darknesses, the credits rolled, One question lingered louder than any explosion. What is the ranch trying to hide? The show doesn't answer, but it doesn't need to. The claustrophobia becomes the message, the idea that truth might be buried too deep for light to reach. In chasing it, the Ollingers risk being consumed entirely. Season 5's premiere succeeds not because it reveals more about Blind Frog Ranch, but because it makes the mystery feel alive again. The underground passages breathe, the air trembles, and the silence speaks. Each frame traps the viewer in a cycle of fascination and dread, mirroring the team's descent into obsession. What began as an excavation has become an immersion into the unknown, into fear itself. And as the screen fades to black, one realization echoes. Blind Frog Ranch isn't just a place on a map. It's a labyrinth of the human mind, and this season, everyone watching is inside it.